Perpetual futures have finally arrived on Coinbase. You can now finally trade perps on tokens such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP. So today I wanted to cover how you too can make money by trading crypto perpetual futures. At launch, there are 4 different tokens available to trade perps. That is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I am going to stick with Solana. Trading Bitcoin or Ethereum perpetuals tends to be more pricey. So I'm going to start with the smaller coins. So head over to the perpetual section on Coinbase.com. This is also available on the Coinbase app. Let's start with Solana perp. So it's a pretty straightforward strategy. You'll either go long or you'll go short on the token. If you're feeling bullish, you obviously want to go long on the token and you think the price of Solana will continue appreciate. Or if you're feeling bearish, you would go short. That means you think Solana will continue dropping. So the name Perpetual means the contract does not expire when you purchase it. There is no expiration. So a good time to go long on a token is when there is a big dip. So looking at the daily chart here on Solana, we are roughly 30 to 40% down on Solana. So I am generally bullish on the crypto market. This would be a perfect time to enter a long position. And looking at some of my favorite indicators here, such as Bollinger Band or even the RSI, we do see oversold levels on Solana. Did breach the lower band on Bollinger Band here. So anytime you're riding the lower band, this means oversold conditions and great time to buy the dip. Same with the RSI. We are touching the 30-point mark down here. Again, historically a good time to buy. So at the time of filming, Solana is trending at roughly $162. So with that being said, I do want to go long on Solana, and I think in the short term we can recover easily to the $200 mark. If we pull up a bigger chart here on TradingView, mentioned Solana is oversold, and looking at our pivot points, we easily revisit the $200 pivot point up here. So from 160 to 200, that's roughly a 22% gain. So why would you want to trade perpetuals? Essentially, you're betting on the direction of a token and you want to capture those short-term gains. You can define your risk and define how much capital you want to use. The barrier for entry is much lower with perpetuals. You can capture profit once the token begins to appreciate in price. So we're on Solana here and we want to go long, and for example, the amount of contracts, let's just set one. So at the time of filming, the entry price would be roughly $163 per token. Now mind you, keep in mind this leverage amount, 2.7x. This is a fixed amount on Coinbase. You are required to use leverage on Coinbase. So what does 2.7x mean? For the initial amount of roughly $163 times 2.7x leverage, in actuality, this would mean you're trading with $298 when you place this trade. Now, other platforms such as Hyperliquid allow you to use zero leverage, but this is a fixed amount on Coinbase, so you're required to use it. If you're feeling more experimental, you can bring this leverage amount higher up to 5x, 10x. I don't recommend that for new traders. So market versus limit. Market would execute the contract at the current live price. With limit, and set your own entry point at a specified amount. So if you don't want to use the current price of 162, you can set it to execute at something lower, such as 160. But because we are generally recovering on this down day, I personally would execute the live price because I do think we are going to recover quickly. So let's talk about leverage. The leverage is fixed at 2.7x. So we look at our liquidation calendar here. What is liquidation? That means if the price falls below a certain threshold, your position would be liquidated. You would lose those funds. Here's a useful liquidation calculator where we can calculate where we want to take profit or even set a stop loss or where our liquidation price would be. So at 163, we would be going long. So the liquidation price would be 102. So if Solana were to reach $102, the position would be liquidated. I do think this would be an extreme scenario for Solana if we were to reach $102, judging on the fact that we were previously at roughly $250 a couple of weeks ago. So now that we have that number in our head, do know that with this margin of 2.7x, the liquidation price would be $102. So anytime you place an order, I do recommend you enable take profit and stop loss. So here is you can auto sell your position once you hit a certain percentage gain. You don't have to manually do it. You want automation to execute this trade. For example, if we were to hit a 20% gain from today's price, that would be a price point of roughly $195. That would be a profit of $162 based off of this one contract. Now stop loss, let's say we dip another 35% lower, it would be a stop loss of $105. Again, this closely matches the liquidation price anyway, so you want to be above this number anyway. So 102 to 105, comfortable with that. The good thing is stop loss is if we were to dip another 35% from here, it would sell the contract at that price. Want to avoid liquidation at all costs. So I'm feeling a little bullish. I'm gonna set my take profit a bit higher at 25%. a price target of $203, and at that price the contract would sell. So again, let's recap. Current price of Solana is 163. The margin is at 2.7x. So you do need 297 Ash or USDC to execute this trade right now. This is only for one contract. Always make sure you set your take profit and stop loss. This is crucial so you don't get liquidated. So I do like what I'm seeing here. We do have this handy useful tip. Monitor your margin ratio here to avoid liquidation. If it hits 100%, your position will be liquidated. Margin ratio right now is 66%. And if we hover over to the positions tab here, we see our open position for Solana long, our estimated liquidation price, our profit and stop loss, and our P&L. That means if we're in the red or in the green with our current position. So there you have it, a quick guide on how to use perpetual futures on the Coinbase platform. Huge fan of what Coinbase has released. Definitely read all the documentation so you're up to speed on how to trade perpetuals. So let me know what you think about Coinbase perps. Let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel where I have tons of other crypto tutorials. And as always, if you have any questions, please leave a question in the comment section. I'll be happy to respond. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.